Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Outdoors with Geoff. Before we light the coals for today's cook, take a minute and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified of any new content that comes to the channel. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Outdoors with Geoff. You know, I was sitting back thinking what was going to be my first cook on the Char-Griller Gravity Fed 980. I thought about a brisket, thought about ribs, and those are things that I do a lot. So I wanted to do something that was really special to me. So I decided to make pork steaks. So I know it's a couple of you asking, what are pork steaks? What a pork steak is just a cross cut of the pork shoulder. It's a very good piece of meat because you get the different muscles, the money muscle and everything else that makes up a Boston butt. You get a cross portion of that in each steak. So it's a really good cut. And the other thing is it doesn't really cost a whole lot. It's not much more than what you'd pay for a Boston butt or a portion of a Boston butt. One of the things I'm a huge proponent of is shopping local. That entails me shopping with my local butcher. So I shop at Midtown Butcher in Atlanta, Georgia. And every time I go in there, those guys get me what I need without a problem and can do specialty cuts for me and source in specialty pieces if I need something. These pork steaks here, they cut them 1.25 inches thick just like I wanted with no problem. So it's beneficial. If you're in an area that has a butcher shop, I definitely guarantee you that you're gonna get some benefit from shopping with them. Now let's get to the cook. I'm going to take these 1.25 inch pork steaks and we're going to get a couple of good rubs on them today. Today I'm going to be using Fiesta brand's garlic pepper rub as my base, and I'm also going to be using Meat Church's Holy Voodoo rub as a barbecue blend that's got a nice little bit of flavor and also a little bit of heat on the back side of it. Here I'm putting a good layer of both seasonings down. The goal here is to try and get a great bark to form on these pork steaks. For today's cook, I'm loading up the Gravity Fed 980 with B&B Oak Lump Charcoal. You can see here that I'm alternating between charcoal and cherry wood chunks. I like to do this on Gravity Fed units to keep the smoke flavor going all throughout the cook, especially on my longer cooks. So I'll layer with charcoal, then wood, and charcoal, and then wood. Now I still put wood chunks in the ash pan as well. And on my hot, fast cooks, I only put wood chunks in the ash pan. Here I'm loading up the hopper with a fire starter to get the ignition process going. And if you don't have any of these fire starters, you can just use a paper towel soaked in some vegetable oil. And here's what these pork steaks look like after a good 20-minute rest. Always let your meat rest before you get it on the smoker. That's going to ensure you're going to have a great bark. Today we're going to be running the 980 at 275 degrees for this cook. We're going to add a few more chunks of cherry to the ash pan to get some good smoke going right at the beginning of this cook here. And you can see we've got some good smoke rolling from that cherry. It's time to get these bad boys on the smoker. The smell coming off of both of these rubs combined is amazing. So I'm going to let these run on the smoker for an hour, and I'm not really concerned about temperature at this point. I'm just looking for the color that I want. At this point I'm about 45 minutes in on the cook, and I'm just checking the temp for the evenness of the cook of the smoker. And this thing is unbelievable. If you look, all three of these pork steaks are running about 126 to 127 degrees. This thing is an amazing cooker that has an even cook all throughout because of the way that heat manifold is set up. Now I'm just going to give these a flip and allow them to run for the last 15 minutes of this portion of the cook. Now at this point I'm going to go ahead and start to prepare my glazing sauce and wrap mixture. I'm using a cup of Meat Mitch naked barbecue sauce and a half a cup of apple cider vinegar to start with. So here's where we're sitting after an hour. I got some good color on here and a very nice bark, and I'm going to take these off to wrap. Now this is just what I put in my wrap. You can make this any way you like. I'm putting in a little bit of my glazing sauce, then I add the pork steak, and then to that I'm going to add some brown sugar and a pat of butter as well, and then some additional glazed sauce. Now this is going to impart some good flavor here, and we're going to add an additional layer of sweet, savory, and tangy to this cook. Now I covered the steam pans with aluminum foil, and I also put a meat probe in one of the pork steaks. Now I'm not going to look at these anymore, and I'm going to let this run all the way until we hit an internal of 190 degrees. All this will help tenderize these steaks. The Char-Griller app alerted me that it hit 190 degrees internal, and I tested it with my thermometer as well, and the probe seems to be pretty spot on. And now it's time for arts and crafts, time to paint these things up nice and pretty. I'm using some more of that glaze that I had left over just to get a good coat on both sides of these chops here. And we're gonna get these on the grill one final time for about 15 minutes just to get that glaze to tack up. And here's the final result after a 15-minute rest. Just to recap, we started with some 1¼ inch thick cut pork steaks. We seasoned them with Fiesta brand's garlic pepper seasoning and Meat Church Holy Voodoo rub. We then let them rest and preheated the Char-Griller Gravity 980 to 275 degrees for the cook. We used B&B Oak Lump Charcoal and cherry wood chunks for flavor. We let them cook for an hour, and then we took them off, and then we wrapped them with a mixture of apple cider vinegar, Meat Mitch naked barbecue sauce, brown sugar, and butter, and we let them roll on the smoker until we reached an internal of 190 degrees. We then took them off the smoker and glazed them one last time and put them back on for another 15 minutes to let the glaze tack. This is always an old favorite of mine to cook, and this came out great. A lot of great flavors came together well. But I have to say I'm even more impressed with the way that this cooker performed, with how even the cook was and the consistency and temperature throughout the cook. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. Alright guys, thanks for watching this episode of Outdoors with Geoff. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications when more content comes out. And also check out these videos here on the channel as well.